I don't know if you have ever had the experience of hiking up to a waterfall where you can hear it before you see it. That is an amazing moment. It's an amazing moment because as that water churns and it crashes against the rocks, it creates a sound that's below the register that most of us hear at, and you can almost feel it on your chest and in your ribs. More than hear it, you feel it. But you hear it before you see it. And as you round the corner to this waterfall, there is this thing that is deep. I love Psalm 42, and it says, deep calls to deep. I'm fascinated with this. You know, Psalm 42 is most famous for that opening verse. As the deer pants for the water, so my soul longs after you. Most people, that's like the most, right? That's the furthest they sort of dig into that. It's fine. I mean, if you like deer and streams, that's fine. But I'm after something deeper. I want the waterfall. I want that booming, that bass that I feel in my chest before I hear it in my ears. And my ears recognize it before my eyes see it. Deep calls to deep. So last week we talked about head, heart, and gut all coming into alignment for decision making. And that this is the gift, the life in the Spirit. This is the gift of Spirit. And the week before that, we sort of touched on this idea that there's this famous passage at the beginning of the book of Genesis that says that the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the deep. So this is actually our third week in a row where we're touching on depth. And I want to try and tie the whole thing together. And my encouragement is really simple. That most of you here are pretty smart people. Right? Most. I mean, not everybody, but most people. I'm just kidding. And a lot of you have developed a heart for the world, a heart maybe for God, a heart that wants to take care of hurting people. And so we've got head and heart in alignment. And I think that is the most beautiful thing about religion, is that when people have a level of understanding and a level of passion or compassion in their lives, I think that is a beautiful match made in heaven, right? Like chocolate and peanut butter, some would say. But I'm saying that there's a third that actually makes the whole thing come together in a way that animates our very life and faith. And that is that there's something about the body, our gut, that somehow the divine or the transcendent or the eternal or God, whatever you want to call it, somehow can bring to us more than we have access to just with our brains. Our bodies, our guts, know something. There's a type of knowledge that is embedded down in the cells of our body. And when our head and our heart and our gut are aligned, that's where power happens. That's when you have the flame and the fuel and then the compression, and you can harness it. That's where life really becomes animated. That's the life of faith for me. It's why I'm so excited about being a Methodist, is because as much as we are a studied and pretty heady crew with a rich tradition that tries to cultivate and harness a heart religion that serves its community, right, in ways that the community can receive, it also has this third thing going on below the surface, which is a vibrant and enthusiastic, a passionate spirituality. That's why I never mind if people say they're spiritual but not religious. It doesn't throw me off at all. I tell them I'm religious but not spiritual. And this is what I mean by it, because my religion is head, heart, and gut. It's the trifecta, the Holy Trinity, if you want to call it that. Deep calls to deep. And the sound of your waterfalls rushes over me, crashes over me. I love this idea that there is something deep in the universe that calls out. You ever driving behind somebody who has one of those big subwoofer stereos, right, embedded in their trunk? And then it kind of gets your attention and you're looking around like, who is that? Right? You're like wondering which car it is. And then you see it, it's got the rims or, right, it's got the lift kit. And then you figure out, I bet it's that guy, right? But you feel the bass before you identify where it's coming from. I love the idea that the deep calls out and it finds something deep in me. Because if you're anything like me, it's easy to be shallow. It's easy to be distracted. It's easy to be short-sighted. But it's unsatisfying. So when something deep calls into me and calls out of me something deep, they are in harmony together. And when those things align, there is a symphony of joy and satisfaction and reward that I know I'm about the things I should be about. The deep calls into the deep places in you and calls out of you the deep things that your heart longs for, but which all of the clutter of life tries to prevent you from getting to. It clears a way. It makes a way where there appears to be no way, some might say. The deep calls to deep. I found a quote this week. It's by Reinhold Niebuhr. He was a famous pastor and theologian in the 20th century. And he has this amazing quote, and I think it just sums up perfectly what we're trying to talk about today. And so I've broken it into 4 parts. So I want to take it in 4 acts. Here's the first part. Nothing that is worth doing can be achieved in our lifetime. Therefore, we must be saved by hope. I want to say to you today, don't lose hope. I know that the news can be discouraging. I know that the change happening in our culture can be scary. I know things can be intimidating and you can become reconciled because what can one person do? Don't lose hope. Because the deep things that need to be done around here will take more than your lifetime. Don't lose hope. Here's the second one. Nothing which is true or beautiful or good makes complete sense in any immediate context of history. Therefore, we must be saved by faith. Look, if you think you've got it all figured out, you haven't asked the right questions yet. If you think you've got it all figured out, you haven't even seen the horizon. This is why we're people of faith. Not because we have it all figured out, but because we don't. We don't have it all figured out. But together, we have a little more figured out. We have to be people of faith. Here's the third one. Nothing we do, however virtuous, can be accomplished alone. Therefore, we must be saved by love. One of the reasons I am so driven and I'll say obsessed with being a conversational community is because I can't do this alone. I need you. We need each other. Or even the Lone Ranger had Tonto, right? No one can do this alone. No one is an island. We need each other. Last one. No virtuous act is quite as virtuous from the standpoint of our friend or foe as it is seen from our standpoint. Therefore, we must be saved by the final form of love, which is forgiveness. One of the reasons that grace is a powerful force in the universe is that it cannot be earned. Forgiveness is a gift that you grace upon somebody else. They cannot earn your forgiveness. So if we want to be a people of grace, we must begin the forgiveness. We initiate the grace. Because grace has been given as a gift to us. I thought this is a really powerful quote, and I just want to encourage you. There is something deep in you. And if you listen, it will both call to you, and as you receive it and partner with it, it will call out of you something deep that makes the world a better place, that sweeps away in its force the clutter and the confusion and the distraction and the discouragement. Don't give up. Don't lose hope. Be people of faith. Be people of grace. I beg you, in the name of all that is sacred and holy, don't lose hope. Amen?